From a bar that made a massive comeback, only for it to fall apart soon after, to another that was named as one of America's best restaurants, this is part 3 of the bars that actually listened to Jon Taffer and what happened after the cameras left. Starting with the holding company, an old bar in San Francisco owned by 4 sisters from Ireland named the Brown Sisters. They came to America chasing the dream of success, but instead of building that dream, they found themselves constantly arguing, letting personal conflicts take priority over the business.
We can't always get on the same page of where we want the holding company to go. Like it's kind of a mismatch of everything.
At first, the sisters believed their Irish charm would be enough to keep things afloat. However, there was a major problem. The bar was hidden on the 3rd floor of the Embarcadero Center, which was practically invisible to anyone walking by.
It's borderline mediocrity.
And mediocrity does not work in San Francisco.
No.
As a result, the business was losing over $6,000 monthly and was $600,000 in debt, leading to constant fighting and misunderstandings among the sisters because they couldn't come to a conclusion on how to progress.
Well, why didn't you implement it?
It's majority rules.
They all looked to me for direction, but everybody has a different opinion on different things. So it's 3 against 1.
When Jon Taffer arrived, his hidden cameras showed that the sisters were their own biggest problem, as they spent more time arguing than they did serving their customers.
You take a step up and stand behind the bar and make them a drink that they like.
Because we don't even know what to say.
Why
didn't you go down the bar to do that?
All they're doing is arguing with each other.
So to save the bar from closing down, Jon pushed for major changes by encouraging them to have a proper structure and better management strategies.
I want to find a structure for us all that makes sense.
Okay.
Here's what I say. I want you to be our director of operations.
Okay.
I want you to provide an overall view to guide her, grow her, but you have to listen to her.
Aside from that, the staff members were trained to make proper food and drink. Jon renamed the bar to Patriot House and changed the decor to an American gastropub theme to attract the rich office workers who lived and worked in the financial district. However, what happened after the cameras left is what really matters. Unlike many bar owners featured on the show, the Brown sisters actually listened to Jon's advice. They kept the new concept, and more importantly, they learned to separate their personal issues from the business.
Yeah, we're working on it really well as a team right now.
Eventually, their decision to listen to Jon paid off when sales went up to 24% in just 6 weeks after the visit. Fortunately, Patriot House managed to survive in one of the most expensive cities in the world for over a decade. It even stayed open through the global pandemic, a time when many bars were forced to shut down. Today, the bar is still open with an active Facebook page where they post about upcoming events and specials, and also an active website that makes it easier for them to take orders. Unsurprisingly, the bar holds a solid 3.8-star rating on Yelp, with customers calling it a true hidden gem. While the Brown sisters found success through teamwork, the next bar took a completely different path to stay afloat. When Jon Taffer arrived in Maitland, Florida, he walked into a bar that had a loyal customer base, unlike most struggling bars, but was somehow still falling apart under the wrong leadership. The Copper Rocket had been around for over 20 years, but everything started going downhill after owner Selman Markovic bought it on a whim, despite having zero experience in the bar industry.
Why buy a bar, right? Most people don't make decisions the way I do because there's like 9 of us in my head.
And instead of building on the bar's already solid foundation, he made a series of bizarre decisions, including hiring fire breathers and live performers that ended up driving loyal customers away. Watching the hidden camera footage, Jon saw poor service immediately, from warm, sour beer being served to customers to bartenders ignoring people waiting at the bar.
I didn't like the beer that was warm, sour, it was skunk. It was pretty bad.
And once Jon stepped in, it became clear that the biggest issue wasn't the drinks or the food. It was Selman himself, whose attitude was pushing both staff and customers away, something he didn't hesitate to prove by showing that same arrogance to Jon Taffer as well.
Understand that if you had the loyalty of your employees, they would be here. They didn't show up because of who?
These problems are not on me.
You're blaming your failure on other people rather than yourself. That's not going to fly with me.
During the stress test, things completely fell apart. Even with a simplified menu and easy drinks, the staff couldn't keep up. Orders came out cold and customers were left waiting, while Selman wasn't bothered about any of these at all.
Significant issues going on in this bar right now. Food orders, drink backups, not serving their guests, and not keeping the bar clean as they go. Selman hasn't resolved any of these things nor has he noticed them.
And to make this work, Chef Vic Vega and mixologist Lisa Marie Joyce stepped in to rebuild the basics by training the staff on how to make faster food, simpler cocktails, and most importantly, maintain structure in the bar. This time, Jon didn't change the name. Instead, he transformed the interior, giving the bar a unified rocket-themed identity, along with new systems to improve service.
Been since 1995.
Oh, yeah, man. That's respect. This place looks absolutely amazing. How am I feeling? Holy
At relaunch, the difference was clear. The staff worked together, customers enjoyed the new atmosphere, and for the first time, the bar felt stable. 6 weeks later, and sales were up, but only slightly, by about 5%. Still, it was a step in the right direction. However, behind the scenes, a major change happened. Selman stepped away from daily operation and eventually sold the bar entirely to new owners not long after the rescue. While the new owners made a little renovation in the bar, it is evident that in their 3.9-star rating that they maintained some of Jon's changes. Today, the Copper Rocket is still open and actually doing well under new ownership, with regular events like karaoke, trivia nights, and live entertainment keeping customers coming back. While the Copper Rocket found success after a change in ownership and direction, the next bar took a completely different route, transforming a quiet Michigan town into something far more modern. When Bar Rescue came to Michigan, the stakes were already high, but this time Jon Taffer stepped aside, handing the rescue over to longtime expert Dustin Dry. And the bar he walked into came with a history that made success far from guaranteed. Club 21 was owned by Dave Ricks, a man who was already on his third attempt at running a bar after his previous businesses had shut down due to mismanagement.
There's really nothing I haven't done. I would consider myself a jack of all trades and a king of none.
Right from the start, that track record raised serious concerns about whether this would finally be the turnaround he needed or just another repeat.
My rent was too high, my food cost was too high, everything was too high, and so this is my third time. And I always said, third time's the charm, and I'm taking the charm.
Unlike many rescues where the bar is completely broken, Club 21 wasn't starting from zero. It was a well-known local spot that had changed hands multiple times, meaning the foundation was there, but consistency was missing. And that inconsistency had led Dave into huge debt.
Dave is sunk into $380,000 worth of debt for just Club 21 alone, and combined with the debt from his previous 2 failed bars, Dave is in the hole for almost $1 million.
As Dustin assessed the bar through the hidden camera, it became clear that the bar needed more than small fixes. It needed a clear identity that customers could connect with.
And what it looks like don't match up at all.
This looks like a ranch house out of Yellowstone.
So instead of trying to patch the old concept, Dustin made a bold move. He scrapped the Club 21 name entirely and introduced a new name, Rick's Ranch. The rebrand leaned heavily into a rustic ranch-style theme, tying the bar directly to Dave's last name while giving it a fresh personality that stood out in the rural Goodell's area.
I wasn't going to use my name, but he must have felt something in it that's giving me one more chance to prove that I can make it and my family's going to be successful.
The interior and signage were updated to match the concept, creating something that finally felt intentional rather than recycled. And when the bar relaunched, the biggest test was whether Dave could finally break the cycle that had doomed his past ventures. And this time, things didn't fall apart immediately. After the rescue, Dave kept the Rick's Ranch name and concept, even blending it with the old Club 21 branding on Facebook to avoid confusing longtime customers. The bar stayed open, continuing to serve the local community while slowly building a more stable reputation that was evident in the reviews saying, "Tried this place again after many years. Pleasantly surprised." And the Rick's Ranch owner, Dave, is an amazing cook. Food is awesome. Hats off there. Aside from the positive reviews, the menu remains simple. The bar maintains an active presence on Facebook with regular specials, even if it doesn't rely heavily on large events. For a bar with a history like this, survival alone says a lot. Although Rick's Ranch hasn't become a runaway success, it also hasn't collapsed like Dave's previous ventures. And just like that, Rick's Ranch proved that even a troubled history can be stabilized with the right changes. But in California, another bar would face a very different challenge, driven by controversy and poor leadership. Located on the border of Long Beach and Signal Hill was Lona's Wardlow Station. It was owned by Lona Lee, who had prior experience running a bar but was acting towards her staff more like a friend than a manager. That lack of authority quickly began to hurt the bar's performance. In a desperate attempt to boost business, Lona introduced a bizarre gimmick, a live lobster catching game inside the bar. But instead of attracting customers, it caused animal rights groups to picket outside the building.
The lobster tank caught the eye of animal rights protesters.
This led to a bad reputation and drove many regular customers away, leaving the bar in over $500,000 in debt. When Jon arrived, he made Lona understand that the way they treated lobsters was seriously affecting the bar.
When I lose 4 seats in a bar for a lobster tank, I lose $40,000 in seats.
The lobster tank is very well liked here.
By who? There's nobody here now playing it.
Aside from that, he also exposed major operational issues, including excessive liquor losses caused by staff members who overpoured drinks.
Twice overpouring? Every drink is twice as much? Your life is destroyed if this doesn't stop, correct?
Correct.
And he's the guy who took your money. What do you have to say?
To fix the bar, Jon brought in experts who retrained the staff on how to make proper food and drink. Additionally, he rebranded the bar by changing the name to Lona's City Limits Cantina and got rid of the cruel lobster game to help the bar's image. Lona adhered to Jon's instructions, which got the bar a 35% sales boost in drinks and 25% in food under 6 weeks. However, the bar faced serious challenges over the years, including a shooting in 2019 that led to a 30-day liquor license suspension in 2021. As of 2026, Lona's City Limits Cantina is still open and operating in Long Beach, despite facing all these challenges. And to crown it all, the bar holds a 3.7-star rating on Yelp and some great reviews like, "Great place to come for breakfast and drinks after a horrible night shift. Ash, the bartender, is the absolute best." While Lona's bar proved that resilience can keep a business alive through challenges, the next bar would experience success first before ultimately facing a very different kind of ending. In Milwaukee, Packy's Pub was a neighborhood bar owned by Irish immigrant Packy Campbell, a friendly and well-liked owner who had slowly lost control of his business. And because of that, the bar lost its identity as well. Staff members were drinking on the job,
and the bar became a free-for-all.
If you really saw what was going on behind the scenes when we're bartending.
Which got the bar into over $140,000 in debt. When Jon Taffer arrived, he was furious seeing fruit flies in liquor bottles and the bar's careless management, which made it look like a disaster waiting to shut down.
Look at the bugs in this bottle.
Oh, I'm just burning it a second time because you already did.
In fact, Jon nearly walked out entirely when he saw the infected kitchen and the moment he realized that Packy owes his employees money.
Do you understand you're gonna get somebody sick? You'll kill them.
I want nothing to do with this place.
Let's get out of here, guys. He's in essence running his business on the employees' money.
However, Packy, desperate to save the bar, convinced him to stay by finally taking responsibility for running the bar and paying his employees too.
Tell me, are we resolved?
Yes.
Hand out the checks for me.
Colleen. Son, I'm sorry,
And that was the turning point for the bar as Jon rebranded it as Campbell's Irish Pub and rebuilt it around authentic Irish culture, complete with traditional food and Guinness on tap.
This is reminiscent of a true, authentic Irish pub. Look at this baby, a brand new state-of-the-art Guinness draft system. Not only are you gonna pour the perfect Guinness every time, you're one of the first bars in America.
Fortunately, these changes worked for the bar. Sales jumped by a whopping 74%, bringing in an additional $90,000 after the rescue. Packy stayed consistent, followed the system, and for the first time in years, the bar was back on track. Unfortunately, the successful turnarounds didn't last for long. By 2017, Packy quietly put the property up for sale because he wanted to get out of the bar business. For years, the listing sat on the market without any buyers, until finally in April 2022, the building sold for $325,000. And with that sale, Campbell's Irish Pub officially closed its doors on April 27th, 2022. To announce their closure and celebrate their customers, they posted a thank you video on their Facebook page. Campbell's Irish Pub proves success doesn't always guarantee longevity, but the next bar faced a different battle altogether. Even though the Kasbah started off as a successful nightclub, things quickly began to spiral once it shifted toward a younger crowd, bringing in constant fights and chaos. At its peak, the bar was pulling in huge numbers, but by the time Jon Taffer arrived, the owner, Shelton Boonite, had lost control and was drowning in over $130,000 in debt. As Jon observed the bar during the recon, it didn't take long to spot the real issue that revolved around no structure. Staff weren't trained, security wasn't doing their job, and the entire operation felt unsafe.
Look at them all standing around. Nobody's hurrying to take care of anybody. Look at the crossed arms and the body language, the hands on the hips.
Attitude.
She's not even grabbing it by the stem, she's grabbing it by the tops. There's no napkins, putting her fingers on it. They should be serving that by the stem.
Things got worse when a fight nearly broke out right in front of Jon's spies, and security completely failed to step in.
They should have seen that 5 minutes ago. It should have never gone this far.
Noticing how dangerous the environment had become, Jon brought in a security expert, Doc, to completely retrain the team and enforce stricter entry protocols. At the same time, the bartenders were taught proper techniques, while the kitchen, which was in terrible condition, was cleaned and given a fresh start with new recipes. Unlike many rescues, Jon decided to keep the name the Kasbah, but upgraded everything else, including installing a new sound system and modernizing the space.
A whole new system with Thump, so I went to the pros. In Music Brands got us this system. Next, look at all the lighting we put in. Some of these fixtures respond to sound.
When the bar reopened, the difference was clear. The atmosphere felt controlled, the staff stepped up, and the relaunch night was a success. And the results didn't take long to show. Within just 2 months, the bar was packed every weekend, making nearly $9,000 a night, enough for Shelton to completely pay off his $130,000 debt. Hennessy also named the bar the best seller in Denver. However, that success wasn't without setbacks. Years later, an incident involving a shooting outside the bar that left 1 person dead and 3 injured raised concerns, although the owner disputed claims that it started inside. Still, despite those issues, the Kasbah managed to stay open for nearly a decade after the rescue, something many bars failed to do. However, the bar officially closed in 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic and never reopened. Before its closure, it held a 3.5-star rating on Yelp with mixed reviews. While newer reviews lean heavily toward the positive, earlier feedback from 2013 highlights a more divided experience regarding the venue's late-night atmosphere and maintenance. Not my type of place. We went around midnight and the place was filthy with drinks spilled everywhere. The crowd was young and annoying. The place wasn't as crowded as expected and still appeared small to me. Just like the Kasbah, which eventually closed due to crime and the global pandemic, the next bar also met its end, but in a completely different way. The Broadway Club was opened by Randy Hunt, a former real estate agent who wanted to stay behind the scenes, but that decision quickly backfired when he handed control to someone without real bar experience. At first, Patty Bullock was supposed to manage the day-to-day operations, but instead of running the business, she treated it more like a place to party, something that even the security staff began to notice.
She doesn't need to be inside of her bar drinking the establishment.
I've drank a lot.
With no real leadership, the bar started losing money fast, and Randy found himself over $200,000 in debt, which made him skeptical about continuing his partnership with Patty.
I've given her every opportunity to step up and be a manager, and in my opinion, if I had this to do over again, it wouldn't be with Patty.
When Jon Taffer observed the bar, the problems were obvious. The drinks were poorly made, the kitchen was unhygienic, and the staff lacked any proper direction. To fix things, Jon forced Patty to take responsibility for her negligence and to clean up the bar.
Everybody in this town will know what a failure you truly are if you don't step up. Welcome to my world. Good night, everybody. Get off your ass and start cleaning. What are you waiting for? Now!
Before bringing in experts to retrain both the bar and the kitchen staff. As part of the turnaround, the bar was rebranded from the Broadway Club to the Roost, with a new look, updated systems, and a food-focused concept built around comfort dishes like fried chicken.
You have something special. All you can eat fried chicken all the time. Pretty cool?
You're gonna be busy, my friend.
On relaunch night, despite earlier struggles, the team managed to keep up, and customers responded positively to the new atmosphere. In the weeks that followed, there were clear improvements. Patty stopped drinking on the job, staff started taking responsibility, and sales began to rise. But just as things were starting to stabilize, the timing couldn't have been worse. Less than a year after the rescue, the bar was forced to shut down in early 2020 due to COVID-19 restrictions and never reopened. However, the story doesn't completely end there. A new spot called the Pit Stop Bar and Grill later took over the location, reportedly still connected to Randy, though Patty was no longer involved. In the end, the Roost showed signs of real progress, but unlike some failures, bad timing unexpectedly shut it down. Now, after a bar undone by circumstances beyond its control, the next one struggled with problems that came entirely from within. The Tailgate was a family-run bar owned by siblings Mike and Diane Miller, who had kept the business going for years by bringing in relatives to help run it. At first, the setup seemed like a strength, but over time, it turned into the bar's biggest weakness, as personal conflicts and inappropriate behavior started affecting how the business operated.
These family members are doing half-assed job.
I called Mike and Diane and just told them people need to be fired.
We're like, Dad,
Everybody's a family member, so it's hard.
With family members like Robert and Christine causing constant problems, the bar slipped into dysfunction and poor hygiene and growing debt of over $200,000. When Jon Taffer stepped in, the issues were immediately clear. The kitchen was dangerously unsanitary, with raw chicken and lemons being cut on the same surface, and the staff weren't taking basic cleanliness seriously.
Straight in, no messing about.
Look at this. Raw chicken on the same cutting board. Bingo! Now he's got the raw juice all over the handle of the fryer.
This guy is a health hazard.
The problems weren't just in the kitchen either. Security failed to handle inappropriate behavior, and the family arguments spilled out in front of customers, damaging the bar's reputation.
That's the security? That's who's going to take care of the bar?
Will you be watching him like a hawk?
I didn't make sure my security was watching him like a hawk.
Yeah, Connie's going to shut him down nicely, don't you think?
To fix things, Jon forced the family to confront their issues, and ultimately, Robert, one of the main sources of chaos, was fired after causing a grease fire during the stress test.
I have to ask you to leave. Forget about working here and up my business. I feel a little relieved that he's gone.
You should.
From there, the focus shifted on rebuilding the bar with structure. Zusi, one of the few strong employees, was promoted to manager, and the concept was completely reworked.
Susie, would you like to be our bar manager?
Of course.
We would love to have you.
I'm feeling great and excited. I mean, it's a new beginning.
The tailgate was rebranded as the Shot Exchange, introducing a high-energy, shot-focused menu along with a modernized look and layout. When the bar reopened, the difference was clear. Customers enjoyed the new atmosphere, and the team finally worked together without the same level of conflict. In the months after the rescue, they listened to Jon, settled the family drama, and the business stabilized enough for the owners to eventually sell the bar in 2015. Despite the change in ownership, the bar kept the new concept and continued operating. As of today, the Shot Exchange is still open, hosting events, DJs, and regular crowds, making it one of the long-lasting success stories from bar rescue. Unsurprisingly, the bar currently holds a 3.2-star rating on Yelp, showing that they're still putting effort, just like Jon advised. After a family-run bar managed to survive by letting go of its biggest issues, the next bar would struggle with a problem that couldn't be fired away. Right from the start, it was clear that the biggest issue at Slotsies was how it was being managed. Owner Nick Lang had only recently taken over the bar from his father.
My father has owned Slotsies for over 30 years. He was retiring. I was like, oh man, it'd be neat to carry on your legacy. And so I inherited a bar.
But instead of leading it properly, he relied heavily on Mel, an untrained manager, which quickly led to things falling apart.
As a manager, you're a complete failure. Do you get that? You things that you knew you could have done that you didn't, and knowledge you could have obtained that you didn't.
As Jon Taffer's stress test began, the problems became impossible to ignore. The bartenders were careless, even sticking their fingers inside drinks while making cocktails, and couldn't properly prepare basic menu items. Meanwhile, the kitchen was just as bad, serving poorly cooked food and making bizarre choices, like cutting steak before grilling it and not taking temperature orders, ruining the quality completely.
All these tickets, not one temperature, not for a steak, not for a burger, zero.
Come back in 2 days. We'll show you how we do it right.
With both the staff and standards lacking, Jon knew the bar needed a complete reset, so instead of minor fixes, he introduced a full rebrand, transforming Slotsies into what is now known as Vitale's Hideaway, inspired by a famous St. Louis mobster. The concept came with a new system.
We have 2 stations with POS systems that are really set up so we can make drinks quicker.
And a signature drink.
Here is a very special drink called the Sicilian Sinner. So this is what I call a ritual drink. You with me, guys?
Yeah.
There's a ritual around it that makes it fun.
And gave the bar a stronger and more memorable identity. Once the changes were in place, the focus shifted to whether the bar would actually stick to them, and it did, which made the bar a success. Eventually, the bar started hosting paid shows like comedy nights, poker tournaments, and karaoke, helping it stay relevant in the local scene. As of 2026, Vitale's Hideaway is still open with a solid 4.3-star rating on Yelp, and consistently hosting discussions about the Blue Note fan report. By sticking to the system, Vitale's Hideaway proved that the system can turn things around. But the next bar had deeper family-driven issues, where success depended on whether real change could truly last. From the outside, Fishheads looked like a long-running success story, but behind the scenes, things were quietly falling apart. The bar had once pulled in nearly $2 million a year, but after the owners, Philip and Tony Crenshaw, put their son James in charge as manager, his inexperience started dragging the business down, losing around $5,000 every month. As Jon Taffer's recon began, the deeper issues became obvious. James constantly easily argued with staff and even his own parents in front of customers, creating a toxic atmosphere where no one respected him.
Two bartenders, can one of y'all grab one?
Can you stop being lazy?
I'm not
and
being
do your
lazy. It's not my job to stock the bar.
It is your job.
No,
when
ma'am.
we're busy, it is your job.
She's picking up your slack tonight.
Picking up my slack of what?
Can he not do dishes? Can he not bring up stuff? Do we need ice?
When you see a staff talking to their manager that way, do they respect him?
Absolutely
not at all.
On top of that, the drinks were poorly made. There was no real cocktail menu, and the food quality had dropped so far below what the bar was once known for.
Steak weights on a burger. Now, can you imagine how much of that natural flavor from the fat is being leaked out of that burger?
Is she pouring from a handle? Oh, that is a big no-no. Bars are designed to fit the 750 milliliter bottles.
When Jon stepped in, he didn't hold back. He called out James directly, forcing him to face the fact that his leadership was the core problem.
You've been here 9 years and you're telling me you can't do it. What the hell have you learned in 9 years other than how to blow your parents' money? This is about him as a man. And if we don't fix this, when you're gone, he will not be able to stand on his own. Do you get that?
Yes.
He's a bar back effective tomorrow.
After being strictly demoted to a barbacker, James finally began to take responsibility, even apologizing to the staff and stepping up during the stress test. With the attitude shift underway, Jon moved to fix the bar's identity. The bar was renamed from Fish Heads to Fishtales, keeping a connection to its past while signaling a fresh start. Along with a new name came a full renovation, upgraded equipment, and a proper cocktail program, including specialty drinks served in tiki-style mugs, giving the bar a more polished and modern feel. Once the relaunch settled, the real test was whether the changes would last. Fortunately, sales increased by over 30%, and the owners began saving profits again, showing a clear turnaround from the losses they were facing before. Even more importantly, James maintained his improved attitude and continued managing the bar more seriously. As of 2026, Fishtales is still open and stands as one of the show's more successful turnarounds, reflected in its strong 4.2 star rating on Yelp, along with positive reviews like, "The ambiance, service, and food were all great. There's a reason this restaurant has been in service for over 25 years. They do it right." And even earning the recognition of being featured as one of America's best restaurants in 2025.